Hey, hey, hey,
Hey,
hey,
you
y'all.
guys.
She like
Welcome,
to
Black
say,
Coffee, Honey, and Grits. We seem destined to have very funny starts to our lives, but we're happy to be here with you. You know who we are. We are the Black Coffee. Our lips drip with honey. Sometimes it got a little bit of grit. And we are a quad full of sass, class, and all that ass. And I am Shelly. I'm going to be leading our conversation today. We are going to be talking about networking and resources. And why don't we start with introducing ourselves? So let's see, I can point up. Maisha, why don't you start? Maisha, Carmel, Dr. J, and then I will pick up.
good morning and happy Friday. All Fridays for lovers. My name is Maisha. I am the Sensual Energy Alchemist. I'm a teacher of sensuality and sex magic and also a master life coach. And I am one fourth of Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits.
Hello, hello. I am Carmel. Happy Friday to you all. I am owner and founder and CEO of CFIT Coaching, working with individuals who have come to realize that they're suffering from a food or sugar addiction. And I work with these people. I assist them in adapting a whole food, plant-based lifestyle in order to combat these addictions and whatever kind of conditions that might come along with it. But I'm always here to encourage everyone to add more plants to your plate. With that, I'm going to pass it over to you, Dr. J.
Hey, everybody. I'm Dr. Jamesia, the nurse practitioner extraordinaire. I'm also your intermittent fasting and mindset coach, YouTube influencer, speaker, author, all the things. And I am one fourth of Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits. And listen, it's Friday for lovers. I'm a lover, not a fighter. So I'm here for it. Shelly?
There's nothing in this space but love. Do we ever do anything other than love on each other in the world? No.
Yes,
Sometimes.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm I am Shelly A. Carter out of New Jersey, CEO and founder of Housing Ministry LLC, and now officially a couple of other things. And what I focus on is making home ownership attainable and sustainable. I like talking about monetizing the universe. I like talking about going and fighting foreclosure, and all of those things are what are leading me into a round wobbly conversation that I think we're going to have today, while I talk a little bit about real estate, while I talk a little bit about just resources in networking. And it's networking and resources instead of resources and networking, because without the resources, sometimes, let's just face it, who you know can set you up with all kinds of things. So I feel like a lot of us are out here looking for opportunities, and I'm not talking about just business, but we're looking for opportunities that are there, and going to our HR office, talking to a manager, going into town halls. There's so much information in our business, in our workplace, just by knowing what's going on, who the decision makers are. And I figured we needed to talk about the networking. And then in the resources, I've got a whole list. So I'm going to tear through the resources that I have. And you're going to forgive me if I look at my notes, because we talking about being prepared. Yes, who really works. We're talking about being prepared, and I cannot not have a little bit of notes because I might forget something. Now, I'm always talking about mortgages, and I was asked the other day in our group. Maisha asked me, but I've been asked a few times what is needed for just getting ready for the mortgage process. The mortgage process is funny because you will look up like you are ready to be approved and find out that you are still not approved. So that first part of the networking there, you'll see a lot of people talk about pre-approval, and there's a lot of memes saying you got to be pre-approved first, or you'll see real estate agents making jokes about taking people out who have not been pre-approved. The reason it gets talked about so much is because you can have perfect credit, you can have high income. I've had to deny millionaires, you guys, millionaires, because they either wrote off their money on their taxes, or they spend so much money. Because some of us, when we get more money, we get to spending more money. And
Mhm.
then we decide we want to be grown up and we're going to go buy a thing. And the finance officer goes, "Yeah, sir, ma'am. Yeah, you're denied." And you're like, but I'm a millionaire. No one cares. No one cares how
Um,
much money you make. We care how much money you're spending, and are you showing responsibility? So for my first networking thing, and it might not sound like it, is catching up with your friends and family. Find out who their loan officer is. If you don't have a loan officer that you love, I am working in 48 of the 50 states and our regions around. You can feel free to network with me. I'd love to help you. But we all know a realtor. We all know a loan officer somewhere. If you've got a bank account, then you're a few steps away from a loan officer. And why am I winded? And that is something that you've got to start. But I'm going to give you the list. Where's the list? Your credit score, I need you over 620, ideally 640, 650. You're going to see people online telling you you can get approved with no credit or with a 500 credit score. You can, but your down payment is going to be higher. And think about it. If you've got a poor payment history and you're a risk, I'm going to charge you like 18% interest for the money. It's better to take a step back and get yourself approved at a good credit score. So slow down, get your credit score up. This is again another reason for you to network and to connect with people, because I don't really want you paying anyone to do credit repair when you could find out what people are doing. We don't talk about money enough. Ask your friends what their credit score is. I know people might not like it. If you're talking to your friends and no one knows their FICO score, you guys need to create a credit club. You need to get together, get your FICO scores together, and find out, embarrassing or not embarrassing, if you all have bad credit, if some of you have good credit, and then work together on doing the things, get your scores up together. Because now, whether you are doing it individually or as a crew, you will now have yourself ready to get yourself, okay, wait, have yourself ready to take action. All right, Monique, what are you saying? Getting that score up takes a long time. In some cases, score has been fluctuating, still paying student loans. So, the student loans will kick your butt, but the score, a lot of times, we got to ask ourselves, what does long time look like? Because a long time for some people is 6 months or a year, but you can change your credit in 45 to 90 days. And when you
So
look at,
Shelley,
go ahead.
I'm going to interrupt right there. So what is
Yes.
the best way to increase your score while having these student loans?
So the student loans are really rough because your score is impacted by your debt, your spending power, your debt to income ratio. And then, of course, the repayment history. The number one way that everybody everywhere can impact their scores is by paying their bills on time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing, second, after paying them on time, is keeping your debt down. You can't do too much too soon about your student loans, but what you can do is control your credit card. You can control if your car is 2 years old or 4 years old, and maybe you've got a 2-year-old car and there's nothing wrong with it, and your ego is telling you to go get another car, but you still got student loans. Stay in that car. And because getting a new car right now possibly means a higher payment. So you're going to go invest another $100 into your glam, because a vehicle is occasionally a glam move. If it's utility, fine. You need a car to get to work. But if you're buying a new car because you just want to look good in a new car, that's extra money you could go and apply to paying down your student loan. Though, as you get your debt down, your credit score is going to be impacted. And there's really weird things that go on, because there's a lot of people who think that, and I'll let you get another question in. A lot of people are like, oh, I paid off my credit card, or I paid off my paid off my car and my score went down. You've got to be really careful, which is why I said talk to people. A lot of times us as loan officers will beg you, please don't go doing anything funky with your credit till you talk to us, because if you've got the ability to pay it off, we may direct you to pay it off at closing.
And Shelley, so one more question,
please,
based on this, just to help who's watching. Not every single bill you're paying on time affects that score.
Not all of them, no.
Right. So you have to kind of know which bills. not just like your regular utility, water, and all that.
No, we're
Okay.
talking about your revolving credit bills that are reported on your, well, I got, there's a sidebar on that. Bills that are reported on your credit.
Yes.
However, if you go in and Google some alternatives, you can look for alternative credit reporting, and you can report your gym membership. You can report your utility bill and your phone bill and have that added. You can report your rent and get all of these little things that you do can bring your score up. If your score is low because you have a little bit of credit, save some money and go get a secure credit card and boost it up. Go buy, I tell people, go to Ashley Furniture, go to Finger Hut and get go pay $50 for a $15 set of sheets and take 6 months to pay it off. All of those things have been tools we've used to bring the credit up. And then finally, as a loan officer, we've got something called a rapid rescore and Score Master. When we pull your credit, we also have the opportunity to look, and there's it comes with a fee a lot of times, but we can go in and we can ask the computer, hey, what should this borrower do? For instance, I need a 620 for you to be conforming and be into a traditional loan, but you're at a 610. That 610 is not a 620. There's no, well, I'm close. You either are or you're not. I can ask Score Master, what do I need to bring this score up those 10, hopefully 20 points? And that is the difference in you being in a government or a subprime loan versus being a traditional loan. It's a difference of 1 to 1.5% interest rate. It's a difference between 3, maybe 0.5% down payment. So those are the points on that. So
just real quick, I'm still need that in a sheet form so that I can look at it. Number one, number two. Yeah, me and my student loans have an interesting relationship. They stay over there and I stay over here, and they have not caused me any problems when it comes to my credit score, even though they have seen zero of my money. How I've done that, I can talk about it another time, but they have not impacted my credit score at all. The other things have. All right, so quick comments from Instagram. Maurice is like, y'all be telling each other your FICO scores. And then Erica, the Curvy Confidence, said 45 to 90 days. She said, I'm listening. Monique said, please share. Monique, I'll share offline because I ain't trying to get in trouble and get nobody else in trouble. But let's just say reparations is all I feel. That's how I feel about student loans. But go on.
But also too, every 28 to 31 days, you have the ability to affect your credit score.
Yes, you do.
You don't have to wait. You can take control of that. So
so Monique, I have to tell you, I get very frustrated with our gurus telling everybody to do stuff with bad credit and saying, oh, you can go get a house from Miss Johnson. You don't need to worry about your credit. But when you get the house from Miss Johnson that she's had to surrender because she can't live in it, and then you find out that 2 months after you take the house, or 2 weeks, that the boiler is bad, or there's all these expenses, and you still need to finance a repair, and your credit is bad, and they don't tell you that they're telling you how to get into the house. They don't tell you how many people lose the house after they take the house from someone else. So we really should not be sugarcoating everything. And just because you can get the house doesn't mean you shouldn't work on getting your credit up and being more credit worthy, because you're going to want to get this house. You're going to want to move on. And a lot of people say this is a hack to get started, and then you move on to your next property or your property after that. But shame on me if I have an opportunity to move into an income opportunity and I walk out with $15,000, $30,000, $50,000, and now I'm still not credit worthy. So when I see that next opportunity, I'm not ready to get it because I didn't take advantage of it. They tell you.
I have more questions for you after you're done with that, Shelley.
All right, I'm trying to read this. One of y'all with Better Sight read this for me.
I'll read it.
Yeah, she said. Okay.
No, you go.
No,
Yes, it's a mixed bag of fruit because in one instance, they'll tell you to create this good credit, but in another instance, they'll tell you not to put anything in your name like buying a house. They're telling folks to buy homes in their business name or under a trust.
There's very good reasons for it. And one of the big things in the crash of '08 was these alternative lending products. If you come to me right now with an 800 FICO score, I can take your FICO score and your name and get you a house. So if you are a student working at McDonald's, I'm not even going to ask you where you work. So if you're a student working at McDonald's, making minimum wage, I might take you to go buy a $500,000 or $800,000 house. That should not happen. And that is where some of these things come from. We are telling everyone about investor and business products, and we are acting like regular consumer products have no value, but most of us are consumers, and consumers should do consumer activities. If you've got the mind for business activities, go for it. Listen to the gurus, but then go hire your tax accountant, your tax attorney, go see a real estate attorney. But we should not be listening to the blanket advice on the internet without seeking our own counsel from a licensed professional.
Real quick on that, I want to
Go ahead.
say something about the trust, and then Maurice has a question. And Monique, to the idea of a trust, that you definitely want to speak to an estate attorney about that. There is good reason to put your house under a trust, especially if you have dependents, you're going to be leaving your house to them. That's a reason to do it, not so much for any of the other mortgage. I mean, you're still going to have to pay the mortgage on it, but in terms of what happens when you pass on, yes, having a trust in place is absolutely essential for every asset that you have. It helps your those who are left to deal with all of your assets. It prevents them from having to go to probate court. So those things, yes,
In most cases, yeah.
Yes, talk to an attorney and look at into a trust. Maurice,
well,
go
hold
ahead,
on. I just, it's important. There's a lot of people who've set up trusts and they wind up falling out because they're not taking that advice that you and I just said, and having a legal advice there. And it's great to have the living trust. It's great to have all of them. We have the structure here in this house. I've supported, but making sure that people know what they're getting into, because there's a lot of people who are doing it wrong. And like I said, it's critical. It is something that will tie you up and tie you down, and you've got to know what's going on. What is Maurice talking about? What you talking about, Mo?
Now, Shelly, he gonna come for you with that. He said, I've heard both sides of this question, but here goes. Should you keep or close credit card accounts you've paid off? I'm assuming that's what CCRD means.
So
should you keep or close?
I am on the keep side because your age on your credit account matters. And if you don't have credit, what are we rating your credit on? So one of the factors, and they keep changing the rules. So if I tell you something, I'm probably lying, because it's like keeping up with the algorithm. But if you can keep your account open, you should use it to buy a pack of gum, use it for gas, and then go pay it off. And there's other people who tell you that you're supposed to carry debt. Our credit account gets paid down to 0, and it is not keeping those scores below 800. So if I can't say too much, but I can say there's credit scores are above 800 and the bill gets paid down. So
the other thing too that you also want to know is know yourself, because if you out here putting stuff on a credit card for $1 and you not paying it, or you forgetting about it, now you got a daggone late charge of $30. Now you got a $31 pack of gum. Know yourself now. Listen, if you got to close it, close it.
But if you have to,
know yourself.
It is absolutely personal. And I will also tell you, I had to do a rapid rescore on someone who was a rock solid buyer. She literally had a $30 unpaid charge on her credit that she didn't even know about. She just forgot about it. So it is amazing what these, we're making these examples like $1, and you say, oh, no one would have $1 bill. There are people with these really ridiculous bills out there, and they're so small that they fall through the cracks. And Jamesia's advice is spot on. So the rest.
He said thanks.
Sure, you're welcome, Maurice. The rest of it's a Noah's Ark. People feel like this mortgage process is invasive, but you're asking someone in this current market for multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. You need to be able to show that you are a good risk and that you're stable. So they're going to want to check out 2 years of your employment, 2 years, possibly, depending on the type of loan. If you're a business owner, they may even ask you for 2 years of bank statements. Everything else is about 2 months, 30 days of pay stubs, 2 months of bank statements. Assets, do you have 401k and retirement accounts, pension accounts? Do you have child support or court-ordered income or court-ordered expenses? Are you paying child support? If you are paying child support, then they're going to want to factor that into your debt to income ratio. If you're receiving child support, then that actually is something you get to use towards your purchasing power. So no matter which way we look at it, it's where is your money, and then what is your credit score? So we want your credit score up. We want to track your income. We're going to use all of your income and your stability to decide, are you going to be able to afford this X maximum loan amount? Hi, nurse practitioner. Right. Okay. So that's a comment there. So it's, what is your girl? I can't stand you sometimes. It distracted me. We're going to want to be able to tell you how much house to buy. Then the question is the house an investment, or is the house going to be your primary residence? And that is where we can go. So I'm going to switch over to the credit. Experian.com, Equifax.com.
I hear you, Maisha.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Real quick, do you have anything on closing costs in there?
The closing cost is something that your loan officer will give you afterwards. And down payment on a loan is going to be anywhere between 3% down to 20% down, more if you want to. So your closing costs are all of the fees that are going to be coming. That's going to include things that you control and that you don't control, like the registration transfer tax. You don't control that. We've got to pay escrows for your taxes. So it's the principal, the interest, the taxes, the insurance, which make up your regular payment. There's 2 insurances. There's a mortgage insurance if you have put down under 20%. And then when you're coming to closing, you're going to be paying for it. Well, you pay for inspection and appraisal up front. You've got to pay your down payment. You're going to pay transfer taxes, lender fees. Are you paying points to buy your interest rate down? There's just a list of fees, and all of that should be put on all of that should be provided to you and by your loan officer when you're ready to move in. And it's also
go ahead. And the resources to assist people with things like closing costs and down payment. Like, does the loan officers help with that as well?
Yes and no. So it's going to vary by state and even city. So you are in New York, but
I'm not buying a house here.
What's in Poughkeepsie might be different than what's in Manhattan versus what's in Albany. Here in New Jersey, there's a state program. There are charities that have programs and connections. I love NACA. Some people don't love them because they don't want to go through.
What is NACA? What is this?
NACA is a charity, a nonprofit organization that helps make people ready for home ownership. But the part of them making you ready for home ownership, they will pay down payment and closing costs. They are there to work with people who may not necessarily be 100% ready, but they will get you ready. And you go in, you plug into their system. You have to go through their training, and they will say, hey, you are mortgage ready and you're set to go, and they'll match you with a counselor and a realtor. Or they will say, you need to do this amount of work, and they will set you about a task, and they can get someone ready, mortgage ready, in about 3 months, or it could be 3 years. There are some people who have enrolled and are still going through the process. And what happens is people get frustrated. The city of East Orange in New Jersey, they give up to a $25,000 grant. So for up to, got to watch out for those up tos for people to come in. New Jersey will give up to 10,000 for people to come in. And one of the things that I have on my list, and I'll go ahead and say it, is if you go to HUD.gov, and no matter where you are, look for HUD approved housing. Okay. If you look for a HUD approved housing agency, they will put you through home buyer preparation, help you find gifts and grants, and make sure that you are ready to buy a home on your terms. So is it a good thing to buy a home with the interest rates as they are today? Yes, that question has been the same since the beginning of time, whether the interest rates are 13% or 2%. It is good because you either get in a spot where you can refinance if the interest rates change and you find that the math works for you. But a lot of times the interest rates will stay steady, but the cost of buying a house will go up. And when you find a house that is a good deal for you, that is the right house, are you going to lose the opportunity over the interest rate? I'm not afraid of interest rates. I don't even like refinancing.
Because you got money.
Huh?
It's because you got money.
Why do you say that?
Well, I mean, look, interest rates, it's the way the money works.
So this business was taught to me in the hood. I learned mortgage lending on the west side of Chicago. I told y'all I had pimps and hoes walking through my office. I'm not lying. It is, I lifted my head, and the only time I had seen a man wearing the pimp suit was on HBO, and I lifted my head, and that man was walking through the office, the Bishop of the Don Juan.
So how do you, okay, so explain to me how that works, because with an interest rate as high as it is now, what is it, like 9? What is it at, Shelly?
I think the rates today when they came in, I have to look, but they're not at 9.
But you have the option to refinance though, right? As the interest rates change, and they're always gonna.
So rates are gonna fluctuate.
Now they're like
you
crazy.
can
I've never seen these rates.
Refinance. But the reason I say I don't like you to refinance is because it still costs money to refinance. Yeah. And
so with that interest rate that high, how do you get it? Okay.
I'm getting it.
I thought you said love. Everything was love.
I lied. So it's important to buy a house at a payment that you can afford. I don't care what the interest rate is. I care that you can afford the payment, because you could have a 2% interest rate, and if you can't afford the $2,000 mortgage payment because you said interest rates are low, let me go buy my McMansion. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. But when you live within your means, at or below your means, now you have extra money to apply to the mortgage. It is critical to me, even without a calculator, that you overpay your mortgage. I don't care if it's $25, $50. I prefer that it be at least 10% extra. But when you get online and you use an early payment calculator, you will see that you are shaving years and tens of thousands of dollars off of the back end of your mortgage. People don't look at the cost of buying a house. And 2% is great, but when it's NACA.org, NACA.org. Hi, honey bunny, mommy's live. Go in the house. I love you. So when you go and you look at this mortgage, and I made the jokes, but I want to get back to it. We were trained to help people who were underserved become homeowners. And one of the things that I was taught was the cost of money. And when you look at the amortization chart and you see how much you actually, no, that's not only for East Orange. NACA NACA is everywhere.
Okay. Because I
And
thought you mentioned one only for East Orange. Okay.
no, I did, but NACA is a large organization that serves multiple states and reputable. We get in this thing that part of us learning how to serve this underprivileged, poorer side of, Chicago, South Side and West Side of Chicago was, thank you, making sure that we got them into home ownership. And this is part of where my sustainable statement comes from, attainable and sustainable. I got my business started working with people to get their credit scores up and talking to them and fighting. I have had massive arguments with attorneys and real estate agents because your real estate agent, we get paid based on how all of us get paid based on your loan amount, your purchase price. But I'm going to tell you something with pride. When the market crashed, I didn't have any foreclosures because if you qualified for 100, I would fight for you to spend 75. I would fight with you to spend 80. You were always liquid in the formula that I put you in. And that meant that when the bills went a little bit crazy, when you had emergencies that came, because I had you spending less on your home than you made, because I had you in at less than your maximum, you were able to weather that rainy storm, that rainy day. When you're there and you have an opportunity to refinance, you should ask yourself, and when you buy a house below what you can afford, baby, mommy needs about 5 minutes. When you buy a house, it's in the car. When you buy a house for less than you can afford, and I'm talking payment, when something breaks, you're not deciding whether you're going to pay the mortgage or fix the furnace.
Right.
The money is there.
Right.
And because this is a cash flow formula, and let's work with this, talk about cash flow. You've got $1,000 mortgage, but you've been paying $1,250. So now you need tires. That $250, you can take that away from the mortgage and not miss a mortgage payment. It was an overpayment.
Okay.
You are always liquid that extra money. And you can always decide, I'm this month I need that extra $250 for this emergency, but the mortgage is always getting paid. And that is how I was trained. And when I look at how my peers talk about this business, I am very grateful for the common sense approach and that I was taught how to serve a community, because our approach is to make sure that people who don't know how to manage their cash flow never have a problem. And that is achieved by going in low.
Okay. And I'm not going to dispute anything you said. I like that answer. The other thing we have to keep in mind too, Shelly, is property taxes that increase. Okay.
Yep.
So along with that, and I'm going to
insurance.
And insurance. So along with that, when your house appreciates, your taxes go up and your insurance goes up. So that's also a very good reason to come in low on your payment. So thank you for that. But just keep that in mind. And I'm keeping all of that in mind when it comes to this interest rate business. So
it is really, really critical. Well, first of all, my clients, when I deal with them, especially if I am their loan officer and the real estate agent, I will help them buy their interest rate down. It's something that so far it's been 1%, but it's been very important to me to give my clients a break. If I'm getting 2 commissions, I can reduce my commission. It's why my business is housing ministry. It is a part of my ministry. It is my own grant program. So if I'm getting 2% or on one side and 2% on another side, I'll just take 1% and give it to someone. And I'm not allowed to just give them money. That money is going in to pay for an appraisal or an inspection, and to also buy down their interest rate if they want, or to find some other purpose in the loan. But all of these things that we're able to do with this money, I believe you should have the interest rate as low as you can have it, but you shouldn't be ruled by it.
Okay.
What people do is they'll see the interest rates high and they will say, well, I still want that $500,000 house. But with that high interest rate, you may need to step down to a $400,000 house now.
Gotcha.
Then the interest rates are really impacting people's spending power. And we should be adjusting our standard and or finding a house that maybe needs a little bit of love or that we can improve later when our financial situation is stronger.
And so my the other question is, what state are you? Are you licensed to do mortgages or whatever in the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina?
I can service mortgages with my team. I can service mortgages everywhere except for New York and Connecticut, because those two are very difficult states.
Okay, that's good to know.
I have a question back to the property taxes. Is it wise to lump the property taxes into the mortgage, or should I be handling my property taxes myself personally?
That's so personal. We pay our taxes ourselves quarterly.
And is there
and
a
other
reason why?
people some people lose their homes because they don't pay their taxes. So that comes down to responsibility. It is just easier for some people to make that big lump sum payment and know that it's handled.
I left mine in my mortgage, Carmel.
Yeah, I did too. And I was just wondering if that was a smart approach. But if you do it, then I guess it might be.
No. That's just
Most
all I know.
people do.
That's all I know. I'm not like Shelly. I'm sorry, Shelly. I keep saying that, but Shelly owns her home like that, like outright. I don't own my homes outright. So
got it.
And even
okay, good point. Good distinction.
Yeah. So
good distinction. Yeah, my mortgage takes care of mine, and that was because I didn't have that level of responsibility to do it myself. So they actually took over and did me a favor.
Well, since we're on this conversation, the other thing, and I'm gonna watch the time. The other thing is that while I'm sitting here talking about the ability to repay and pay early, because that's what your approval is based on. It's your ability to repay. And the better you treat that fact, the higher your approval is going to be. But while I'm talking about people's freedom, because the bank is not going to tell you how to take money out of their mouth. When you make early payments, you are taking money out of the mouth of the bank. They make money off of our interest and fees. But most people, despite knowing this, they don't do it. So really the automation and using auto pay with your bank, putting your bills, having your paycheck come in and telling the bank every time you get paid to send money to the mortgage company, that helps a lot of people to set it and forget it. It's not a good formula for everyone, but that set it and forget it, knowing that every 2 weeks, because the bank can't tell you not to send them money. They will like to. I'll come over to you. But when you make those payments on a regular basis, and just a few extra dollars constantly paying them, we are legally required as a bank to recalculate what your interest is and make adjustments, and it will show in your reports. What were you going to say, Carmel?
So it was interesting what you said. You said every 2 weeks, and you said every time a payment comes in, send some of it over to the mortgage company. The bank. I remember hearing that if you paid every 2 weeks versus every 4 weeks, that it actually helps bring down your mortgage or your mortgage faster and sooner.
Yes.
So for instance,
you're making an extra payment.
So the extra payment makes sense to me, but it's the taking. Let's say my mortgage was $1,400, and if I paid $700 every 2 weeks, that part makes a difference. No.
Yes. Dr. J asked the question. I'm saying no to Dr. J.
Oh, okay.
And so the thing about what you're talking about, Carmel, is Shell. It's just those extra payments. So think about it. You're going from making 12 payments a year till you'll wind up, if you do what I ask you to do, you'll go from 12 payments a year to 13 to 16 payments a year, depending on how you treat it. And are you going to pay extra? Some people will pay their mortgage and then send extra money in a separate check. That's my ideal for principal. and the memo says to principal. And that way, because if you leave it to the banks will accidentally apply it to interest.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
once you go
mhm.
ahead.
I've had that happen. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to also answer Carmel's question because I do that with all of my homes. I pay every 2 weeks. And yes, it does make a difference because the interest doesn't have the opportunity to be applied to the whole monthly payment.
Yep.
Does that make
And
sense
the
to you?
bank has no choice. They if you attack the principal, you are
Mhm.
attacking the interest. You are
Mhm.
reducing the interest. You only pay interest on what you owe.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of the
And
ways that
come the
some
end of the month. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. So your payment won't change,
No.
but your math will. So,
Yes.
day one, you're in a 30-year mortgage and you come to this plan, you can get yourself naturally into a 15-year mortgage term by you controlling the math.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about these other things that are here. So from a business perspective, I want to tell everyone, and I'm doing this myself so I can share. The small business development centers out in America are likely somewhere near you. They're in a state or a county near you. So that I can talk about it, I'm signed up. And in a week, I'm going to have my first meeting with my local SBDC, Small Business Development Center. We're going to be getting together, talking about business plans, talking about SBA loans, talking about applying for grants that are out there, plugging into resources. And there are resources that I know that we wind up getting ourselves um, crazy in a frenzy looking for these resources. And a lot of them are available to us if we're in our Chamber of Commerce, if we are tuned into the SBA, if we're tuned into the local business centers and the business resources, which are, oh, by the way, some of them are in the county colleges. So we've got community colleges all over the place. And even the community colleges have business resources. Some will tell you that they are only for students. Some will tell you that they are for people who are in that county or in their town. You won't know unless you go check. But I wanted to make sure that I was asking you guys to tune into finding any Chamber of Commerce near you, tuning into any mastermind groups that are near you. And the mastermind groups are often something that you have to pay to be in, but plugging yourself into a group with people who are tuned into what your goals are very helpful. I was talking to Maisha about homeschooling. This is something she knows inside out. She was able to plug me on resources and then send me down a rabbit hole. And I have decided against it, but I found out that there are tons of resources out there. And if you don't ask someone in your circle, do they know something, you might be missing out on an opportunity. Maurice was saying, so we're out here talking about our FICO scores. We should be. I think we should be talking about our FICO scores. We should be talking about our bills and our debt. We should be talking about our side hustles. We should be talking about our financial planning, because when you are someone who's in the right circle, you could be someone who's making a fraction of what the people you are with are making. I I had someone, and it's so small, it's almost insignificant. I had someone reaching out to me about investing. I invested in some gold, and I've I've gotten over a 20% increase in the investment that I put in. I wasn't looking into gold. I wasn't looking into investing in anything, but a conversation with someone who's an investor who had skill turned into me looking and say, let me stick my little toe in this water. And it turned out to be like, oh, an eyebrow raiser, something I'm going to invest more in, not just that one lane, but in other lanes. So that's where we need to talk some more, and then we'll wrap up. Um, But how are you guys networking? How do you keep yourself stepping up via this networking point of view? And Maisha, I'm gonna start with you, because I like Dr. Mavis and what she's doing. So from that perspective of being just a part of the mastermind, I know you've invested in that, but how beneficial has the networking been for you?
It's been beneficial for my personal growth. I'm still really weird with networking, and I like in person better, but I'm as much as I'm extroverted, I'm introverted. So it still takes me a while to warm up to people, and I'm more of an observer before I jump in. Like, I'm not like Dr. Jamicio. It's like, hi, I meet you, you're my friend. No, I need to see you a couple of times, and then maybe you'll be okay. And then maybe. But I have learned a lot with Dr. Avis and her group, and I have connected with some of the women in terms of some of their services and things like that. But it's still a fuzzy for me. Just, that's funny. I was thinking about this morning. It just ties into my thoughts this morning about what I do, how I do it, how I talk to women, and who my audience is, and the difficulties around that, which is what makes networking feel, not saying that it is, but it makes it feel challenging for me. So that's where I am with it.
So the thing that I'll say to you, though, and we in particular have started off with anxiety, because I'm like, money, yay, and you're like, money, and
yeah.
And she's like, sex, hey, and you're like, oh, wait.
Exactly. But the attitudes are shifting. And it's like, okay, so let's talk about these rituals and things that we do. And what I want to say, though, that I think is important, the networking becomes important because when you're networking with people who are talking to you about you in your lane and helping you expand your horizons, that part's really fantastic. It's why they tell people who come out of addiction programs that they need to go into different environments and be around new people, because the people that we're around will pull us right back to a place that maybe we don't belong, but the people that we're around can also pull us into a new place, a brighter place. I'm making jokes with you, Dr. J, earlier about your traveling. I am so ready to lift anchor and just go travel around the world and be a nomad for a little while. I love watching you do that. Now you are, I can't say it right, but you are a proud sister of, say it for me.
Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
Thank you. I'm not allowed to say that. So
you see, I didn't even mention sorority, right?
I didn't go there. It was not accidental. I didn't forget. But it's not that you don't have the love for it. It's just not your.
My mind is that, yeah. My networking is over here in the business more than it is in that space.
So, with your network, Dr. J, what is the benefit of being a part of these fraternities and sororities from a networking point of view?
Right.
Why should I do a grad, or why should I let my boy do that?
Listen, first of all, there are so many networking opportunities within these types and kinds of organizations. However, if you're not one that is, a talker or a people person or whatever, this type of organization helps you to get connected to people that you normally wouldn't be connected to. And it helps you to kind of break out of the shell a little bit if you allow yourself to do that. That's an internal working, right?
Yeah.
But the thing for me about Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated for me is that when I get into the group of women who are Deltas, I'm in there with Congresswomen, I'm in there with mayors. I'm in there with presidents of corporations. I am not the most elevated person in the room. So for me, it is so important to be around other women who hold me to a higher standard. And that is the connection that I have. That is very important to me in that way. And we support each other the best way we can. Now, are they always there in the way that you would want them to be, like right there? No, not necessarily. But having that as a support system, it's golden.
Mm-hmm.
And more than anything, it's the sharpening, the iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
Part for me. So
no,
I answered the question.
And everything she said, and choose your chapter wisely. Because everything that she said does not necessarily, it doesn't matter what the organization is. Yep. Depending on where you're in, that you will find a chapter that is absolutely nothing that Dr. Jamesia said, and then you will find chapters that are absolutely everything that she said, which is why it's important to learn and go visit and choose your chapter wisely.
Yes, and you have to be a type of individual that can say, hey, this might not be the chapter. I'm going to move to another chapter, and I'm going to try another chapter and another chapter and another chapter until you find that chapter. And like I said, it's also part of you doing the work too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Carmel, did you want to chime in, or you're not ready to go?
No. I can chime in. So that networking piece, I feel, is so important. For so long, I tried to DIY it. Like I could do that myself. I could do that myself. I could do that myself. And when I started inserting myself in different organizations, I found that there were so many resources. Not only somebody who could do it for me better, faster, and of value, so that I was happy to give them my money, but also opportunities to learn, opportunities to grow, opportunities to share what I know, to be on stage, to be in books, etc. And I found that I think I told this story here once before. I had signed on to work with someone who was going to help me deliver a very important speech for myself, and she charged me a lot, like a couple of $1,000s, a few $1,000s, more than a couple. And for a long time, I was just like, was that the right decision? Was that the right decision? But from that, she introduced me to one of her groups, who led to somebody that I know, who invited me to be on her stage multiple times, and then somebody else from there invited me to be a part of the book project. So that's when I was in that book, Women Who Boss Up. And then from there, invited me to host one of the programs. And it's right now, and this is 4 years in the making. So I continue to reap the benefits of that initial few $1,000s that I paid. Had I not done that, I would never have been introduced to so many people. And I feel so inserting myself, like I said, in different organizations really increase the amount of resources that I do have. And then and even present day, this conversation right here, I just learned so much about mortgages. I've been paying mortgages for over 2 decades, and yet I still learn so much in this 20 minutes. Things that I've already knew about, but now I'm understanding why, right? And why it's so important to kind of like just grab control of what it is that we pay out, and why it's so important. So thank you for that, Shelley.
Yeah.
When we're a network,
we absolutely are, right? Because whoever we're connected to, people who are connected to us by default are connected to them, and that's how this whole thing works. Yeah.
And it's something. For me, it's the elevation of the confidence. It is being able to work what I say, working the cotton out of your mouth, saying something to a point where, if someone says, Shelley, give me an elevator pitch, I can do that now, where I couldn't do it before. I'd have an idea, but I would and maybe my way through 3 minutes of babble. We're now in 15 seconds, this is who I am. I make mortgages attainable and sustainable, blah, blah, blah. You grow from that. The other thing for me is we talk about my multiple facets and the things that I like to do. It's one thing to be a person who comes up with business ideas, but are they worth your time? Is it worth pursuing? And then what are your goals? And I've put myself in the room with people where even though I'm a neophyte and I felt like I did not deserve or feel qualified to be in that room with those experts, when you're in the room with experts and you're discussing an idea, I've left meetings and with people who didn't know anything about me saying, oh, tell me more. I think I want to, are you taking investors? And like, wait a minute, you want to invest in me? Wait, that little idea? Or I'm saying, my goal is this. And they're like, yeah, no, you're underestimating it. Once you work the kinks out, you're going to be doing 5 times, 10 times that from people who've done it. So they're knowing that if they did it and I'm either comparable or whatever, they're qualifying me based on their standards. And I'm qualifying myself based on being new, being insecure, and then absorbing the confidence from their experience and knowledge from people who have created and sold businesses in this arena. And I'm just entering the arena and just drinking in that knowledge. So you get the knowledge, you get the confidence, you get the tweaking of your business plan to know that either you're too high, you're too low, you're missing a step. That to me is invaluable. And being able to get it in, this is where the right chapter comes in. Get it from people who are not intimidated by you, people who are not trying to be a threat to you, but just truly just want to be in the company of other good people. That part has been priceless and inspirational. And for me, even I'm going to go as far as just saying, having some fan moments when people you are a fan of come to be a fan of yours. That feels really good. And it helps propel me through my day sometimes when I get a note or a message. Right. When I get a note or a message saying, that someone had something to say, and I know that these are people I look up to, and like, wait, you know I exist. Oh, that's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. And I didn't mention, I don't know if I mentioned it to you guys. I was covered in a magazine, and it's something that I'm waiting for the copies to come. And even that was a matter of networking, and I'm going to be putting that into my media kit, is those clippings and those pages from the magazine, because it's a part of what I've got to use to push myself to the next level and establish myself as an expert in my field. So we can wrap it up by just saying that the networking, whether it be us being a network or us plugging into other networks, has so much to offer.
Mhm.
If you're not sure, start off with a small business association. You can go to them for business training.
I need a new word.
I need a new word. SBA.
No, I need a new word. I need a new word other than networking. When you said community, I was like, I think I like that one better.
Okay.
I don't like the word networking.
I want us to put the community together, because if anyone's ever heard my babble as I dig in my eye, community is coming together and doing it together. We truly can be stronger together. It doesn't mean that we don't have our individual things, our individual loves, but when you start putting your brain power together, when you put your spending power together, you can gain so much. I know some of you are allergic to co-living, the roommate situation, but I recommend it to young people. Our young people need to be investing in their future. We want them buying and owning homes, assets, businesses, resources. And if the rent is $2,000, and God only knows what it'll be by the time my boy is there, but if the rent is $2,000, why should you pay $2,000 alone when you guys can get a 4-bedroom apartment and spend $500 each? Because that means you can afford $2,000. We've just freed up $1,500 a month for you to invest in your future. And the numbers will always change, but the concept is solid, that when we negotiate with ourselves on our must-haves, our wants, our needs, our future goals, coming together in a network, we can really get a lot done. Even as an investment groups, there's investment groups where seasoned people have come, taken their different facets, and I'm going to take this and lead to what we're doing in November. People take their different facets and plug it into the project and create whole communities, whole businesses, whole ideas that come to life because everybody takes the right piece and puts it together. We, in November, on the 9th, right, are taking all of our facets, and we're going to be coming together. While we've been on the phone for an hour, we're coming together to use all of our resources and create an event for you guys. We are going to be talking to you about who you are, and someone I'm tired of talking. So, but we're going to be talking to you about who you are, where you're trying to go, and plugging in from how to be your best, healthiest professional self. And somebody else say this better than me because I'm out of words.
So yes, we're having a day-long networking event. It's going to be in New Jersey. It's going to be Saturday, November 9th, and we're covering it's a holistic event. So we're going to be talking about your money, absolutely, and your mindset and what it takes to win. And we're going to give you all some ideas and ways to keep your energy high while you are pursuing business, because being an entrepreneur is no joke. And you need to be able to, especially in the beginning, to wear a couple of different hats, right? But how do you maintain your health and your body while you're doing that? And we're going to talk about different ways that you can actually accelerate your business that you may not have considered or thought of before. So we're excited to have you come with and be with us on Saturday, November 9th in New Jersey. It's going to be a beautiful event. Yes, our signature swag bags will be available, of course, for you all. But please stay tuned for when we're going to drop the link for the early bird, and that way you can get on in before the spots sell out. This is going to be an intimate and exclusive event.
And you know, I wanted to add that it's not only for entrepreneurs. It's going to be an event of empowerment, and what we will be sharing will help uplift us in all aspects of who we are, how we show up, how we present ourselves to other people, our self-confidence, and really assist us in the things that we've always wanted to do and maybe felt a little bit like, am I entitled to that? Like, am I deserving of that? So I wanted to not turn people away thinking that it's just a business event. Although, yes, we'll be discussing that. But even if you're in
I thought that's what we said it was going to be.
Yes, we are focusing on entrepreneurs because we're all entrepreneurs. However, we definitely want you to come as someone who is mentally ready to up-level your finances, to up-level your health game, your sex game, your relationship game, your overall love and self-care of yourself game. You do not have to be an entrepreneur, but that is where we're focused, because we need the most help sometimes because we're bosses and no one is helping us out. I mean, people are helping us out, but I mean, when you're a boss, you do need the extra lift from people like us, from Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits. So,
and this is where it all comes through, because being able to get Maisha to coach us through our release from Dr. J has multiple facets. She's I think you, Dr. J, are our secret weapon, because you represent all of us in a little bit of a way. And Carmel, when you are leaning into talking to entrepreneurs, we need to have the stamina to survive our day. But this is where you say it's not just entrepreneurs. If you're not an entrepreneur, but you are looking to come be in a room where you could talk about just pushing yourself to the next level, you are still going to gain, even though the curriculum, the plan for the day will be catering to that boss chick. But every mom, every woman on the planet is a boss chick. So let's just pull up those boss chick vibes. I just can't sing the praises enough between the intermittent fasting that Dr. J teaches, the SOS. That's my new thing. I'm stuck on SOS, salt, oil, and sugar free, from Carmel, and finding out that you can just boost your energy and shift your lifestyle by what you put in your mouth. All of that is there. And I'm sorry, I know I have been stick up the butt, uptight, and I will benefit from Maisha teaching us how to just release our stress and anxiety through her methods. For me, I'm always going to be talking about money and where some of the tools are for us in business. My goal is, by the time our event goes, I will be prepared to walk everybody step by step through their business tactics, and either to be a newbie or something for someone everywhere to go from where we are to the next level. Just like we had the conversation today about trust. Although I need a trust, I don't believe that everyone need a trust, because it's not all complicated. It costs money to get into these situations, and then you've got to know other answers to other questions. So it is just beautiful to come together, whether you are networking with us or with people in your life with a network you create. I just believe that our next level is in unity, in network with each other, supporting each other, and having honest, occasionally tough conversations. And with that,
And even if you just want to meet us four beautiful ladies, honestly, I'm telling you, just being in the room and the power of what's going to happen is worth it.
and there's going to be some extra things. So we're talking about our swag bags, but we are going to have lots of extra resources available for you guys too. I'll go ahead and drop now. Here is a surprise to the ladies. We are going to have photo boothing happening. So that part's going to be a lot of fun.
That's gonna be fun. Okay.
So, and it's going to be a beautiful environment. Beautiful.
All right, that's
Beautiful
all. So you
space.
can't give everything. Don't give
It's
everything.
gonna be a
No,
beautiful
I said
space.
beautiful. I said beautiful people, beautiful environment.
Yes.
No, I gotta give a little bit, because I need to kick in the FOMO, that FOMO.
Okay.
If you're not there, you're gonna miss out on some stuff. You are. I'm telling you. So that is it, you guys. So thank you everybody for being here, and we will catch you next time. Monday.
Yes.
Oh, and I will be absent. So I will catch you guys the following week.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
That's okay. Yeah. It's going to be good.